Welcome to the WoW podcast, where we bring you inspiring stories and insights from our university community. Tune in for conversations about growth, success, and the power of communication in the academic world. So get ready to soar with us on the wings of wisdom.
Today's episode of the Wings of Wisdom podcast, we're honored to welcome Don Reams, our esteemed librarian and professor. Mr. Reams joined Ashland University in 2018 as a librarian and correctional education professor. He is the graduate from Heidelberg in Kent State and has brought a wealth of experience from several other academic institutions. Join us as we delve into our insights on fostering student success and his journey in shaping the academic landscape here at Ashland University.
Thank you so much, Don, for being a part of our podcast. And we're so happy to hear about your experiences and all that you do to contribute to the Ashland University community. To start off, can you tell us a little bit about your first year undergraduate education?
Sure. Yes. Thank you for asking me. I'm glad to tell you about whatever I can. My undergraduate degree was in music, actually. I was a violin performance major, which is a skill that I use not nearly as often as my violin instructor wanted me to, but that's all right. I found my niche. So Heidelberg was a great institution for me. Had a lot of fun. Got a great degree, and I moved on.
Can you tell us where Heidelberg is?
Oh, sure. Heidelberg is in Tiffin, Ohio. It's actually probably an hour and a half, depending on how you drive, due south of Toledo and west of Cleveland.
And how did you find Tiffin? Did you like being over there?
Yeah, it was a nice area. It was, maybe a little bit on the rural side, but that wasn't all bad. I enjoyed it very much.
It's a quiet little place. And then after that, you went on to get your master's. Can you talk about that?
Sure. I actually, and I don't know that this isn't something that I may have on my resume or my CV, but I started at Cleveland State University, working on a master's in music, and the Cliff Notes version is that I had a paper that I was working on for Josquin de Prez, who was a 16th century composer, and I was getting absolutely no joy out of it whatsoever. It was absolutely as dull and boring and tedious as you are probably imagining it to be, possibly more so. I had my epiphany, I had my aha moment, and decided that if I was going into that as a career, I ought to be enjoying it maybe just a little bit more. And in as much as I was not, I started brainstorming on other things to do that correlated with my interests. And one of those careers that possible careers that I wrote down was librarian. And I thought, that sounds awful. And I crossed it right off the list. But I did end up getting a job at a music library in Baldwin Wallace College, now university, which is in my hometown of Berea. And I worked there for a couple of years and decided that I actually really kind of liked it. So went on to Kent, got my master's in library and information science, and started the career off that way. And here we are today.
What drew you to music?
I've always had a love of music. I started violin when I was in the 4th grade and through the schools, and took private lessons, went to competitions, and I enjoyed it very much. But I enjoy it more as a hobby than I do as a career. And I think I tolerate the arrogance of my fellow librarians much better than I tolerated the arrogance of my fellow musicians and violinists.
How do you think that learning music and learning how to play informs what you do now? How does it add to it? Because that's a really particular skill.
That's a good question. I would say that music music was instrumental in helping me learn to compartmentalize. And by that, I mean, if you are working on a piece of music, if you're working to on a piece of music to perform and trying to perfect it, there are parts of that music, there are parts of that score that might be easier than others. There are parts that are a little more challenging, and you learn to kind of work. You know, you need to work on this section, but this one's not so hard. I don't need to work on that. Work on this one, but then at the end of the day, you have to be able to play them all together and at a consistent level of skill, which you hope is high enough to make it sound good. But if your skill level is not, then you've got more work to do. So I would say that you know, now I'm answering reference questions. Being that I work in correctional education, we get a lot of, well, all of the reference questions that I get are submitted electronically, which means I don't have an opportunity to discuss it with the student, and that leads to its own, you know, wrinkle of challenge, but fun, a good challenge. And yeah, so now we have harder reference questions and easier reference questions, but you still have to provide the same level of information, of authorship and authority when you're answering for the variety of students and the variety of subjects. So it's all got to be good quality.
Right. Right. So I was going to say, when you put a CD in, but we don't put CDs in anymore. Who's on your Spotify or Pandora playlist?
Right. Do we bust out the 8 tracks?
Yeah. I got a cassette tape over here somewhere, I'm sure.
Well, I played a lot of Vivaldi when I was younger, so there's always always have a place in my heart for some good Vivaldi. But yeah, if you want to bust out some classical era music and want to start going through Mozart symphonies, I'm going to be a happy man.
Okay.
Say 25 is one of my favorites.
But okay, yeah.
Number 25. That was actually at the beginning of the movie Amadeus.
Yeah. It's been in a lot, yeah.
It's fantastic.
Any contemporary bands or musicians you listen to?
Well, contemporary in the sense that you know, this band that I'm thinking of is not 400 years old. Yes, huge Queen fan. Freddie Mercury. There's no one better.
Nice.
There's no one better.
Awesome. DJ, do you want to do the next question?
Yeah. Could you walk us through your journey at Ashland and how your responsibilities have evolved? What do you enjoy most about being a faculty member at AU, and what's most challenging?
Sure. Well, I can I like how you phrased that, by the way. My journey at Ashland sounds very fancy, very nice. But I started, as you mentioned, I started in 2018, and at that point, I was hired into a new position that they had created in corrections for a dedicated correctional education librarian. At that point, correctional ed, oh, please realize that we're recording this and I'm probably going to get the numbers wrong. But I want to say that we had somewhere on the order of maybe 25 or 30 facilities that we were affiliated with, prison facilities, prisons and jails. We had them in Ohio and Louisiana, West Virginia. I don't remember where all else, but since that point, the program, or the correctional education, has added significantly to that set. We have over 120 facilities now. A well populated semester, you know, if we have a lot of students, we sometimes start in at 44,000, 4,500 students, something on that order. There's usually a little attrition, you know, as the case as the semester goes on. Some of the students may decide to take a little hiatus, so that number usually shrinks a bit throughout the semester. But this is actually going to be a lighter semester right now. This will be about 2,500 students, as I understand, for the summer of 24, which is fine because we get hit with a lot of questions. Last semester, or I guess kind of still this semester, spring of 24, there were almost 750 questions that we answered over the course of the semester, and some of those are real quick and easy, and oh yeah, sure, click, send, you're all done. And then of course there are others that are asking much more sophisticated or complex questions, and might take you an hour or even two to get you know, appropriate and sufficient answers to get to them. So my position is one that has had to be able to evolve the manner in which we answer the questions. And of course, it's all electronic. We are not physically, I am not physically, you know, headed into the prisons. I'm not going to Arizona to answer these questions, or Missouri or Arkansas or Georgia, wherever else we might be at the moment. But I've had to be able to create a system by which we receive the questions, process them, answer them, send it out. Each facility has a site director, and those site directors are AU employees who are they're in the prison. They're not imprisoned, but they work in the prisons and have direct contact with the students, the students who are inmates, obviously. So we have to be able to scale that up from, you know, 60 questions in a semester to 700, 800. You know, I think one semester we were almost at 900 questions. So it's one that has to be flexible, and we do our best.
So we all kind of went through COVID in our own way and saw the shutdown and everything. Can you talk a little bit about how it is to like do that just fully online and not have that interaction with your students? Like, can you talk about some of the different challenges with that, and some of the rewards you get from it as well? I know it's very rewarding to be able to help people, but teaching online and not being in the classroom with people is extremely challenging.
Well, I would say that being that as far as I'm concerned, and in my position, we've always been online, which is not true, but from my experience, it is. And I think that prepared the library, or at least the library's contribution to the larger CE project. I don't know what the proper term is. It's not a program anyway. Prepared us very well to help out throughout COVID, because we were already online. And although we were mostly doing it online when COVID hit, we were able to transition pretty quickly, pretty readily into a fully online, paperless system by which we could answer the questions. Nevertheless, there are still hurdles that we have, and I would say probably the biggest challenge that we see, other than just getting swamped with a large volume of requests, which is a good problem to have. The biggest problem is probably the manner in which the questions are phrased or asked. We might get a question that is a page and a half long, and we have to filter through it, trying to pick out the salient points and say, okay, this is what the person is asking. I have to try to figure out what's background info and what is not really needed and what is actually the juicy tidbits that we need to know so we can answer the question. Or we might get a question that consists of one word, and and I'll make a hypothetical one. but an example might be the Philippines. I've had some interesting questions from particularly for philosophy and religion classes. I know there was one that was, this is not a quote, it's not exactly the question that was asked, but it was in kind of in the realm of what is God's true opinion of humanity? And boy, I didn't know it. I had no clue where to go with that one.
That's one to ponder. Yeah, that is one to ponder.
What does God really think? I said, I appreciate that, they think so highly of me, but I don't have a direct line of communication. I mean, we actually do have one of the librarians, two of the librarians are also affiliated with ATS, with the Theological Seminary, and they have much more experience in religion and philosophy oriented questions. So that was a buck I gladly passed.
And so none of you have the red phone in your office that you could just call up?
Well, I asked for one to be installed, but it's still being deliberated in committee, so I'll
probably on its way. Yeah. So you do so much. How do you, in addition to working with the students, how do you engage with the faculty members to help our AU community, our AU students?
Speaking specifically of the faculty that are working in CE.
CE, or just, I know you're always out and about, you're always helping people. So if you could just talk about that a little bit.
Sure. Well, I mean, librarians on AU's campus are considered faculty, and as a result, we do sit on several committees, are represented on several committees, Senate committees, and so forth. I'm on the undergraduate curriculum committee, so I work with several other faculty members on that, and everybody does their part. Everybody has something that they're doing to represent the library in the various departments and offices on campus. Within corrections in particular, I don't interact directly with the faculty often, or with the instructors of the classes, I should say. But sometimes there's a class that may have a particular assignment. There's a sociology class that does a project on the legalization of marijuana. That is a kind of a standard off-the-shelf question, but they all have to answer, do a report or a speech or some sort of project that revolves around legalization of marijuana. So when those questions started coming through, and I realized we already had 24 questions all identical to one another, I reached out to one of the faculty members who was teaching that course and said, "What's going on? Why do I have so many duplicates of this question?" And we discussed it and how to approach it in terms of the library's response to those questions, and got some good intel, and do our best to try to get the students what it is they really need. But that's the if I may, that's the crux of the challenge to the position, of answering a reference question when you are not directly speaking with the asker, the requester, and that's that. You can't clarify. There's not an opportunity to say, "Hey, you asked about XYZ. Is this where you're headed with it, or did you want to go here?" Legalization of marijuana, as an example, maybe not the best example, but just because there's so much info on it. But yeah, hypothetically, somebody might put down legalization of marijuana and want to know about you might want to look at the states that have legalized it, the economic impact. Another person might say, "Hey, I want to know about mental health and how the legalization has improved mental health or not." across the country. How it has impacted the illegal import of marijuana across the border of the U.S. I mean, there are a lot of different ways that you could approach it, or even agriculturally, or there are many different approaches to it. And if you don't know, if the student doesn't say, this is what I want, then you either have to make an assumption and answer it kind of blind, or you need to reach out to the site director to then reach out to the student to get an answer from the student to give to the site director, to have the site director respond to you, and then you can answer the question. And in the interest of timeliness, that's not always a good option.
Yeah, it's certainly a process. And in addition to all that stuff, you go above and beyond with other things as well. I think that there's a chessboard in our library, isn't there?
There is
Are you responsible for that?
our director, who's been here just about a year now, just thought that it might be a good idea to put a chessboard and so forth. Just have some activities, or something as a point of distraction for the students when they're in the library in the main area. So she did. She got a chessboard and put it out there. And as a matter of fact, earlier today, I saw a student sitting there on one side of the chessboard, and the other seat was conspicuously empty. So I sat down and we hobbled our way through a chess game. And she said it had been many years since she had played, and it has been many years since I played, but we figured our way through it, and it was fun. Good time.
Nice. I mean, that's wonderful engagement that we offer here at Ashland. Just somebody you didn't even know, and you just struck up the game and got to know a new person.
Well,
Yeah.
as librarians go, I tend to be a little light on the shy side of things. I'm always happy to engage and work with the students or faculty or other staff, whatever it might be. So
Yeah, no, that's wonderful.
Playing chess is not one of my strong suits, but interacting with other people, that is a strong suit. I can say that.
I would definitely agree.
Appreciate that.
DJ,
I'm sorry.
DJ, do you want to continue?
Yeah. I know we already talked a little bit about how you're in a new position, or at least relatively new, that's been created. And with the pandemic, a lot of things were probably initiated, but are there any new initiative or programs that your department has introduced to enhance the academic experience for students?
When I was brought in, the then director said, we are tasked with providing parity to our students. Parity with Parity, not parody, which is what I first thought he said, and I thought, but parity, so equal, or as equal as possible, level of education, equal treatment, of the students who are incarcerated compared to the students who are not incarcerated. And that could be a remote student, distance learner, full-time student on campus, off campus, part-time, whatever it might be. So to do that, we worked very hard at establishing policy on how questions were asked and what questions could be asked. There are some limitations that the students in the corrections program have that students who are not incarcerated don't have. Unfortunately, that's pretty well unavoidable. A student that is looking for materials, maybe of a medical nature, maybe someone in the nursing program who wants to go into like a delivery nurse or something involving pregnancy and childbirth. That's probably not something that I would be able to provide to a student who is incarcerated, because there could be images of somebody giving birth, and that implies nudity, And that would not be, I mean, in the medical sense, there's obviously there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. That's perfectly valid. But I would not be able to send that into a prison situation. So with a few exceptions and some obvious ones, you know, I can't send you directions on how to build a weapon or chemicals to, you know, create a toxic gas or something like that. But with those exceptions, I am able to provide an awful lot of material to students who otherwise would not be able to access really any of that. So we kept it as broad as we could when we were establishing our initial policies. Since that point, there have been some changes. I don't know about any new new significant, you know, elements that we put in there, but we have had to do some adaptation and adjustments and with the goal of being just to try to provide the best quality material in as timely a manner as we can to our CE students.
And one of the things I think, and I mean, I haven't known that long, but since I just got here last year, but one of the things I could say about you, especially and the rest of your colleagues, is how you all have just this incredible respect for everybody. It doesn't matter how much you know, what you need to do. You're just helpful and respectful and kind, and people could come up to you in the library and get help without worrying about like, oh, am I going to seem foolish or am I going to seem like I'm not so smart, and just get a wonderful experience.
Well, thank you. That's very kind to say. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I would like to think that that's kind of a librarian trait. For whatever reason, I think it's very common for people to feel a little, I don't know about intimidated or somewhat hesitant to approach a librarian at the desk to say, hey, I have a question. Whether it's, I need to know how to find this book, or I need to help with this research, or can you tell me where the bathroom is, or whatever the question might be. I know people are often hesitant, and I think that as a response to that, many librarians try very hard to be just as approachable as possible. So maybe that's where it's coming from, but regardless, thank you.
Yeah, you certainly create a very kind and like environment that's like cultivating for learning and just like sharing ideas. So I think it's really beneficial to our students.
Well, that's good to hear. I appreciate hearing that.
As we go on too, so this is something that's been a topic with a lot of professors, a lot of teachers, a lot of educators, and a lot of students. What do you think about AI? How's that kind of reshaping the way we do what we do?
AI, that's going to be a real tricky question, and as much as I appreciate it, and I personally use AI in my own research with some frequency, and I think it's really, really helpful, and I think it's also very tricky. I don't want to say dangerous, but you know, like academically dangerous. I don't want to go down the tinfoil hat Skylab, you know, kind of path, but it's academically dangerous because it is very easy for AI to, you know, write large sections of text on a particular subject. It's pulling from a vast repository of knowledge, and with a computer brain, if I can use the term, it does it very, very quickly, and it's tempting for I think a lot of students to abuse that. So I am part of a committee on AI, and we discuss it at length about what we can do to try to ensure that students are using AI constructive way and not in a way that inhibits their education.
I think abusing is a key word. It could be a tool, but it is not to be, like you say, abused, because it could lead you down to some really crooked paths.
Man,
DJ, can you do the next question? And I'm just gonna, we'll edit this out, but I just have to go talk to two students real fast, and I'll be right back.
Gotcha. As an academic leader, how do you see the importance of promoting communication skills among students?
promoting communication skills among students, as in from student to student, or student to.
Yeah, how would you, I would say, foster communication skills to students? You know, how would you, I guess I would say, teach them communication skills?
Well, I will say that in my professional history, I have taught quite a few library classes. And a library class would be not so much a class in how to library, as much as it would be an English class that comes down. We talk about research, we talk about how to get your resources, that kind of thing. Which I absolutely love, because I'm an extrovert and I love to talk, and I have a captive audience, and it's fantastic. But that aside, I do try to get the students involved. Anytime there is a topic of discussion, whatever the topic might be, whatever the nature of the discussion might be, those discussions are going to be much more fruitful if there's more than one person involved. Okay, that's just the way it works. So when I have been in front of a classroom, and I've done some of this at AU as well, although instruction librarian Diane Schrecker as well. But I kind of fill in when she has a conflict or something. I try to get the students involved. Okay, you sir with with the beard and the dark hair. What's your name? What's your major? What are you doing? What's your topic? And I'll do a live research process with them, and run through searching the databases, but I'll do it with the interaction of the student, and really try to pull them into the lecture, into the class, so that it's much more interactive. And if they're working interactively with me, and I get them, maybe I say, is there somebody else with a similar topic? Well, now I've got the two of you guys working together, and compare notes, see what you get, try some different keywords, everybody try a different approach, and then get back together and talk about it. So I do try to make sure that I'm not the only one up there talking.
Mm-hmm.
I want to hear from the students as well. So, and sometimes there's students who are very willing to do that, and they're very, they're eager to participate and jump in. And then, there's the other 99% that want to, take a nap through class.
I've always seen
might be
a really big, sorry about that. What?
I just said that might be an exaggeration. That's not
Gotcha.
quite that bad. There are plenty of students who like to engage, and we encourage.
Yeah. I've always seen a really big part of, when you're trying to teach critical thinking skills, how to find new horizons or anything like that. Communication has always been a really big part of that. It goes hand in hand, I think.
Well, AU says that I'm sure we've all heard whenever we're at town hall meetings or whatever it might be, that AU teaches our students how to think, not what to think. Right? I'm sure you guys are president
on the library.
That. Yeah. But if we are teaching our students how to think, and we're the only ones talking, then I would say we're not doing a very good job.
So talking about how to think, you have just like a myriad, a plethora of interests, which involve not just only these ones, art, criminal justice, dietetics rather, music, nursing, and theater. Can you talk a little bit about how this kind of all-encompassing approach to learning has helped you?
Well, I don't know if I'm putting the cart before the horse or not, but I think people who have a wide spectrum of interests tend to gravitate towards jobs like being a librarian.
Mhm.
Because because there's such an opportunity within your day-to-day duties to go down a number of different paths, and if I answer 10 questions in a day or 20 questions in a day, then I might have 20 different topics that I'm researching. And it helps to be able to switch gears, mental gears, quickly. Because if you're looking up a cultural comparison of the United States and Mexico, and then the next question is, what is the prevalence of myocardial infarctions in, I don't know, Uganda, for example, then you need to be able to switch those gears. And then you might get a question after that saying, hey, I want to play Dungeons and Dragons. Can you tell me where I can find some books on it? So, I mean, it's the spectrum is tremendous. I mean, it's very, very wide. So trying to focus is not always a good option.
But having that option to explore so many different things, is that one of the best qualities of your job that makes it so fulfilling?
It certainly is one of the qualities of the job that I have personally found fulfilling. Yes. I like being able to adjust on the fly, and if I'm working on a project or something, and a student comes up, then that project has to be paused and right there and answer this question that's completely unrelated to what you're working on, and then you have to be able to go back to it, pick it up where you left it off, and go. So if you are the type that does your best work when you're in solitude and in silence, and you're focused on what you want, don't be a librarian.
And I think one of the main points we could take away and share with our students too is that research doesn't have to be this boring, tedious process. It's engaging, it's fun, like it seems intimidating at first, but once you dive into it, you really have an enjoyable experience as you learn outside of the classroom and develop materials and develop products that you could present to your classmates and your professors.
I think that's very, very much the case, that when you are talking about doing research for, any kind of academic research, even to me, it sounds horribly boring and, mundane, but in truth, in practice anyway, I don't think it is. I don't feel that way. Another one of my interests, I'm a big fan of riddles. And I feel very strongly that answering a reference question can often be very much like solving a riddle. You have to think kind of around the corner. You have to think of, how, I'm not getting the results I want with this search. How do I change the search? How do I change my perspective to get better results, more results, different results, whatever it might be? How do I improve it by thinking differently? And that's a big part of what you have to do to solve a good riddle. So
Can you share though? Please don't give the answer, because we'll give the option of people to put it, like maybe we could have some kind of thing where they could answer it in the comment section. Can you offer us a riddle that maybe somebody who watches this could try to solve and try to stretch their brain a little bit?
I have plenty I could share. I'm trying to think of a good one that I can just rattle off. One of the shortest riddles I know is no sooner spoken than broken.
Okay.
Okay.
What is it? So that's the question, right? What is it? Yeah.
So do you want the answer?
No. Let's see if people can solve it. Can you say it one more time?
No sooner spoken than broken. Or if you want it as a question, what is no sooner spoken than broken?
Mhm. Okay, that's a good one. We'll see what answers we get.
All right.
DJ, do you want to continue?
Yeah. Can you tell us, I know we kind of talked about music before, but can you tell us any favorite literary work, piece of art, or if you had to pick one, a favorite piece of music?
I can tell you that my favorite classical book is The Count of Monte Cristo. Fantastic read. Oh, so much fun. And one of the very few books that when I finished reading it, I set it down and I was happy. I was satisfied. It was a great ending. Big fan of Stephen King, but usually when I finish his books, I'm sad. Because I want to keep reading it, because I identify with the characters and the story and I want more of it. But
What's your favorite Stephen King?
I'm sorry?
What's your favorite Stephen King book?
Dark Tower.
Okay.
There's the 7 books, but yeah, that's absolutely my favorite.
Mine is still The Shining. I can't get off The Shining.
Shining is fantastic, and I think there's actually mention of The Shining in the Dark Tower series. So
yeah, there's always the town is always kind of like just dropped in there. Yeah. And a lot of the books, and then yeah.
As for music, I will answer that question the way I received an answer from somebody when I asked it. One of my very favorite professors at Heidelberg, she's retired now, Dr. Catherine Theet. She was she was an organist and a music theory professor. And I said, Dr. Theet, what is your favorite piece of music? And without missing a beat, she said, whatever piece I'm playing. And I thought that was just the best answer ever. I said, Dr. Theet, I'm going to shamelessly steal that answer from you, and I'm going to repeat it at every opportunity. And that's the best answer that I could think of. And it wasn't mine, but it is now. So.
Okay, well, I'm gonna make you a 9 Inch Nails mixtape and just change the horizons a little bit.
Awesome, man. Give me the sheet music to it. Give me the score. I will crank it out.
We know that you have a lot of hobbies and different things. We can see from the video right here, your tie and everything else. Can you say something, maybe like a fun fact about you that maybe people around Ashland don't know about? You're kind of like an open book, this still dad fun joke.
Something that people around Ashland don't know. I was a college cheerleader. How about that?
Nice, yeah. So
I love cheering. I had a fantastic time all through college and grad school, actually.
Awesome. And you did that to just get out and socialize, and you had like the school spirit, like it was just something you thoroughly enjoyed.
Well, I think as we've established earlier, I'm not shy. I love the social interaction, and the other people, males and females on the cheer squad, tend not to be introverts. So it was a lot of fun, and it was certainly a good exercise, and good people, good times all around.
Awesome, a fun activity that got you just like out there with a great group, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I loved every minute, except when I was getting kicked.
Except the kicking.
I take it back. That was not a fun part. Getting kicked in the face or the head or whatever.
Or somebody falling on you.
Yeah, so that happened too. That definitely did happen. That's true.
DJ, do you want to ask the last question?
Yeah. What piece of advice would you give to students to make the most out of their time at Ashland University?
Oh, I could make this all kinds of lofty and sophisticated and self-righteous and pretentious. I could do that. Yes, I can offer advice. And I'm a dad, so I it's in my blood. I would say be brutally honest with yourself. Be brutally honest with what you want, and then if you can tell yourself this is something that I really want, then objectively stand back, look at it, evaluate it, and figure out how to get there. It's too easy to get caught up in the moment. If you have a passion for something and you're trying so hard, you're grasping at straws and you're racing towards this goal, it's really easy to miss something important that may end up preventing you from achieving that goal. So if there's something you really want, be honest with yourself about, is this something that I really want right now? Or is this something, a big deal? Is it, do I want the candy bar, or do I want, something, career oriented? And if you have a passion for something, if you really want it, step back, take a look, find a good path to get there, and then charge forward with wild abandon.
Yeah, no, we're definitely dads. I tell my students all the time, they're probably so tired of it. You got to make sure you can see the forest for the trees, you got to see the big picture. You got to see what you're doing, and just keep an eye on that and not get lost. But yeah, it's funny you say that, because my students hear it like every class.
And if you get lost, then, stop in the library and ask for directions.
Well, let me tell you, this has been so much fun, and we're so grateful that you donated your very valuable time to us to share your insights and your experiences. And I'm sure that people will thoroughly enjoy everything you were able to share. We're very grateful.
Well, I'm grateful to be asked. So, thank you very much, and thank you to all my colleagues that help out with all the questions. We wouldn't be answering 700 some questions if I was the only person doing it. So I can thank them as well for all of their hard work. And
Wonderful.
So thank you.
Well, we can't wait to see you around the library, and everybody else who's watching, please stop by. You could stop by and see Don on the other side of the WCC, and get help from him and get help from us at the Writing and Communication Center. We're really happy to help in any way we can, all of us as a community.
That's right.
So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thank you for tuning in to the WoW podcast, where curiosity meets inspiration. Brought to you by the Writing and Communication Center at Ashland University.